So welcome to our Friday morning. Good morning. And we're going to start with our inhale and exhale with our hip rotations. Inhaling forward, exhale around and back. And I'm just going to remind folks, and I have everything hidden except for me on camera now. So I'm recording, and I'll just like to remind anyone who might enjoy that class at the Center for Community Arts with Walnut Creek will start on Friday, September 17th. So that's next week. And anyone, if you're available, come join us. So we're inhaling and the hips are coming forward. Exhaling around and back and allowing yourself to land in your body on the mat. Just the rotations are a nice way to let the body relax and arrive in the room. I'm noticing on camera, you can see I have like a surfing watch on. It's like the color on me is standing out with my neutral outfit. It's kind of fun. It's a waterproof watch that I got in the mail, and it's sort of a fun, bright colors. It's fun to find color in your day. Good. We'll switch directions with the hips. Inhale, they still are coming forward. Exhale around and back. So class with the Center for Community Arts will be from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. 10 classes. And you can pop in later down the line and prorate it too. So feeling free to come when you can. Inhaling, hips are forward. Exhaling. Nice, juicy in the joints. Letting the shoulders relax, jaws relax, hips. Feel the feet on the planet. Yeah, I have this surfing watch because if you get in the ocean, I used to get in and I would get in the ocean and then I knew it was time to get out when my right toe was numb. But I thought it might be nice to get out before that. So I decided to get a watch that's got big analog hands on it. So you can see without your glasses, without your readers. I'm not wearing my readers in the ocean. So something nice with, the old school hands instead of digital, and it's very helpful. And a kind of a nice touchstone to imagine, even if you just go on a walk at the beach. We're so lucky to live close by to that. We could take a mini vacation this weekend, keeping those bright things in mind. Good, and then letting the hips come to a spiral, to a stop. Good. And then we'll take the shoulders and they come up and around and down. Inhaling up. Exhale down and around. So today I think we will visit our Cobra and our bridge. Nice ways to open the chest, open our mood, brighten the mood, inhaling. And exhaling, shoulders come around and down. It's always so nice to see everyone and do some movement together in class. Sometimes with my classes and dance classes in Berkeley, I'll skip it for a couple weeks, thinking I'm getting a lot done, otherwise. And then I'll be, I'm not as happy. So these practices Babaji would say, my teacher's teacher, let's change directions if you're ready with the shoulders. They're still inhaling up and exhaling around and down. He says to do the yoga faithfully every morning, or, when you can figure it in. And you'll find that things start to fall into place a bit better. He didn't say that part, but he just said that your karmas things that are more challenging in your life will start to have less of a strong grip, that they'll start to loosen. And whether you buy into that or not, it just feels better. And my teacher would say, when she started doing yoga more regularly, she's like, she's like, I don't even have to pray for things. Things will just kind of start to come. So maybe it's an interesting experience to make a practice of it and see how you feel. That's what the yogis did. Do it and see how you feel. And if nothing else, you got some movement in your day. Good, and changing so that you can take your shoulders down nice and low and relaxed on the exhale. Inhale. So you have the lovely exhale to let the head come around and down and forward. Inhaling up. Nice, easy little micro stretches all the way around. And you just graze over them. Good. I was taking a class at a community college online, and it's so interesting to see different generations show up on a Zoom class, because the millennials all turn their cameras off and they must do good work, but they don't show up in the way that other people can see them. They're so used to being on their devices. I guess that's not part of their protocol. Good. And then we'll let the head come around other direction. Still inhaling as it comes up, exhale around and down. But the interesting thing is the baby boomers and up, and also my generation, I think, is Generation X, they're used to interacting and want to talk on the phone and see people, and so they have more of the social skills, and the millennials may have more of the technological skills. And it's just fun to respect our different cohorts. Our generations have different qualities. So anyway, it's nice to see each other, even if it's on Zoom. It's a pleasant way to connect. Inhaling up and exhale around and down, just to wave and say hello to our yoga family. Good. Inhaling, the head comes up and stays up. Let's take our hands and swish them back and forth. One hand on top at first. Exhale back. Inhale forward. You can do it inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Alternating hand is on top. Swish the clouds back. Good. And then let the hands come parallel. Do the same. Back and forth. And this time you could do that first breath in through the nose, out through the nose is the earth breath, very grounding. Second one, in through the nose, forward, exhale out through the mouth. Is good for bailing out tension, being more relaxed and available. emotionally more able to be there for people. Just more easygoing. Also very good for bailing out tension, that water breath. Inhaling through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Switch the clouds back. Good, and then just let the arms, when you're feeling complete, let them just rock down to a stop. And then let's take our tassel twist. I'm just gonna let the arms be heavy and start small. Just let them spiral to one side and then to the other. I went for a walk in Oakland a couple days ago and plan to do it again tomorrow. I met a friend there in Oakland and it's instant air conditioning. It was 90 whatever here in the evening, and it was 73 degrees on the other side of the tunnel. Thing of beauty. Lovely. Nice respite, keeping that in mind. Because we're also lucky not to be super inland, so that we can get closer to the ocean just with a 20-minute drive. Let the arms rock you to a stop. Good. I'm going to let myself come down with my hands onto my thighs, just doing our warm-ups, and we'll come into our chest openers and cobras soon. So inhale here, exhale. Slide the hands down to rest on the thighs. And breathe into your long spine, reaching through the tailbone and out the crown of the head at the same time. Good, and just breathe in that new shape that you are. And guess I have a modern dance class on Zoom right now that I used to go to in Berkeley for years. And sometimes, anyway, I'm planning to go today. Long story short, I think it would be really nice to move with people. So finding places where you feel connected is, I guess, what I mean to say, wherever that is. Good, and then we press feet into the floor and roll up. And notice how pressing into the earth with the feet helps that rolling up be lighter. Taking it one more time. Inhale and then exhale, glide the hands down to the thighs. Knees do not need to be straight. I'll lift my pants and let you see mine are just relax. There's a little play in the knees. We're looking for a long spine. It's perhaps somewhat parallel to the floor. The back, but it doesn't need to be exact. And you may come down just a little bit. It doesn't matter. You come down wherever you land. Good. Reach through the tailbone and the crown of the head. Yeah. And then pressing feet into the earth and roll up with that sense of integrity in the body. Good. So let's take our feet slightly wide into that horse riding position. And I want to just take our hands into somewhat of a C curve. Yeah. And I'm going to just tilt to the side. So the hands are above the head in a sort of a C position, like you're holding a cup. And inhale up to center, exhale to the other side. Good, and up, we'll take it once again, first side. Make it look like a dance. Here's some modern dance. Inhaling up and exhale over to the side. Good. And then I'm going to come up to center, and this time I take my arms are as if I'm embracing a beach ball, and the hands are in that C position, and I just come around the horizon any amount, down and up, and then forward and down. Take a couple rotations here with the torso. Good. And then pausing in the center and exhaling around and forward the other direction. Feeling the strength in the knees. The knees are tracking over the second toe of the feet. And the knees don't go beyond the middle of the top of your foot. So you want to protect your knees. When you look down, make sure they're in alignment with the ankle. Good, and then we come up to center and let the arms float down. Bring the feet back in. Good, let's bring the shoulders up toward the ears. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. This is from the Asian tradition. It's medical yoga is what I've heard my teacher call it. And it just means it's preventative medicine in the Asian tradition. Good, and then we slowly let our shoulders release down. Inhaling, we come up with the shoulders. So they've found over time that for some reason, this is good for the body. Squeeze, and then you wait till the shoulders and the neck start to feel a little achy. And before it's too much, and then you just release it slowly down on the shoulders. So we're sort of doing that squeeze and soak method of as soon as you release the squeeze, the fresh nutrients and fluids can come to that neck area where we probably, we have a lot of lymph nodes and things that are helping our immunity. If you wanted to try to analyze it from a Western perspective, but we don't need to do that. We could just do this because it feels good and trust that something good is happening. And so draw the shoulders up one more time. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then this time when it feels kind of achy and ready to release, let it go with an audible sigh all at once. Good. Beautiful. Let's take our rosebud hands, and I'm just going to flow them up and down like this, leading with the wrists up and down. Sort of a Tai Chi inspired movement. Good. A little breather, and then play your harp. You sort of sparkle the fingers along the strings of your imaginary harp. Good. Beautiful. Good. And then let's take the hands. I'm going to raise them up to the sky and reach. Good. And then they float down through as if through water down to your sides. I'm going to reach around my back and clasp my hands behind my sacrum. And then I extend the arms. So the knuckles are reaching toward the floor. And then I'm just going to fold forward. Sometimes we do this to the side. Today we're doing it forward just to get that chest opener. Good. You may feel the legs tremble a little bit. It means that you're strengthening and energy is moving through the body. So I've had a teacher say, shaking is okay. You don't have to try to contain it. And always backing off if it's too much, of course. You can let the hands rest on the sacrum, release the tension in the arms, and just breathe there for a sec in your shape. Here's where my teacher would tell a lengthy story about something she heard on the radio at 3 a.m. And She used to get up, I think, at 4 to do yoga because her kids weren't up yet. So she'd go out in the backyard and do yoga. And she said sometimes they still would find her. But anyway, good. Let's let the reassert the tension in the arms. Then we press with the feet. Up we rise. And up to standing. Let the hands unclasp and come to your sides. Let yourself just go down in your yoga elevator for a sec and breathe. That's the practice of pratyahara in yoga. You draw the senses inward. And just notice any thoughts you've had today. Or any emotions you've had, and you just notice without any judgment, what is? Good. Beautiful. And then let's take our chest opener one more time. So hands float on up to the sky, reach, and then they float down as if through water, oatmeal, they clasp behind the back and extend the arms. Chest opens as a result without even needing to try. Yes, and then folding at the thigh crease, any amount. Forward fold. Landing wherever you land and breathing into that shape. Nice counterbalance to the folding, that sort of rounding shoulders that we do when we're at our desk or at the table or on a computer. This is a nice way to open it up. Good, and then release. Let the hands rest on the back if you want. And sometimes you get this lovely flush of circulation through the back, the upper back. Good. And reasserting the tension in the arms, micro bend the knees as you rise on up to standing. And hands come back to your sides. Good. And let's take a moment to focus on our feet. So I'm going to take my left foot. I'm going to stand, my weight is on my standing leg, is at the moment my right leg. And I'm just going to circle my foot so that the toes kind of come to their tips and then around, sort of circling around onto the ball of the foot and then up onto the toes. Just circling the ankle, I guess, is another way to say it. And then the toes just happen. Other direction, you might feel the strengthening in your standing leg. Mine's feeling a little tired just doing this, circling the other direction. Good, and let it go. And let's shift the weight to the second side and circle the other ankle. Toes are getting a little massage coming around for the ride. Make it easy. Or another way to say it is don't make it hard. I had someone tell me that there's a little shop in Oakland that helps people learn how to make things like yogurt and cheese and sauerkraut, things like that, circling the ankle the other direction. I went in to ask the woman when I'm making fermented milk, a kefir, I think is what you call it. I said, do I need to warm the milk? Do I have to leave the milk out before I start counting how many hours it's fermenting? And she just looked at me and she's like, don't make it hard. That was my favorite quote from that store. People have been doing that for centuries, fermenting milk. So she's like, just do it, it'll work out. So then letting the ankle or the foot come to a pause. Let's rock side to side because my body just started doing that naturally. You can do this at home, rock side to side. And then it helps, it gives you a sec to think about what sounds good now. what would my body like to do next? So you can inhale into the center, exhale to the side, inhale to the center, exhale other side. Gives your mind a job. Instead of worrying, you could do some side to side movement and see how that feels. Or if you need to let go of your to-do list, just for a few rounds of breath, this could be one to try. Also, since the weekend is coming up, which is the beauty of having our class on Friday, we're kind of glide sloping into the weekend. It can be also a time where you could maybe take a little field trip on the weekend and get away from your regular routine so that when you come back, you're refreshed and have a fresh perspective on things. That can be nice. I have a friend who had a friend visit from New York. They went to Muir Woods just recently. That's not that far. Pretty cool place. And not 100 degrees. So let's take ourselves down into I'm going to take one moment to take the legs wide and come down just into our wide stance down dog. So hands come down toward the floor, or it could be down onto a chair, seat, onto the sofa. Make it work for your body, onto a coffee table. I'm going to just let the hands rest onto the floor or the fingertips and just rock back and forth. Inhaling forward, comes the hips, and then exhaling, they come back just a few inches, and so you rock back and forth with the pelvis. And here we get a wonderful inversion, good for lots of things. Mr. Iyengar, a master teacher in San Francisco, would say that if you do an inversion once a day, that is very, very beneficial. Get a lot of circulation to the brain and the inner organs. So rocking. My teacher would say you could read the newspaper down here. Good, and then I'm going to heel toe the feet back to a closer sort of a stance and then come back rolling up. Let's take the feet wide once again. And here, let's just take, I'm going to swish my hands to one side. We'll take our triangle twist and then come down to the floor. So swish the hand around and come to center. I find that when I do the yoga, sometimes I may not be in the mood for it. And then once I start, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Yoga is sneaky like that. It can be a nice thing to make into a routine so you can taste that. What did a teacher of mine call it? The nectar. Come to the mat and taste the nectar. Meaning the yoga practice. Good. And then we let the hand come swoop behind us. Opposite hand comes to opposite knee. This is our triangle twist. And my other arm is back behind me. Yeah. So here we just breathe into this twist. You may, if you've done this before, if this is enough and you're new, this is great. And it is anyway. If you want, and you've done this before, if you've got your right hand up behind you, you turn the doorknob to the right so the pinky is lifted toward the ceiling. And that helps open the chest, open the shoulder to the side for a little more openness. Your choice. Keep it simple if you like. That can be a beautiful way. And even better sometimes. Good. And then let the hands come like a baseball umpire to the center. Good. And then I'm just going to roll up. And we'll take the other side. So taking that wide stance, swish the arm to the side, other side. I wish they had little yoga breaks during Zoom classes of other sorts, you know, where you're learning something in school or something. Take a 5-minute dance break or yoga break. Maybe that'll be my new job. I'll pop in for 5 minutes and have students do little yoga so they can keep paying attention for 2 hours. They make you sit there for a while and our bodies need to move. Good. So when we swoop our hand to the side, maybe I could contract myself out for 5-minute increments. Let's let ourselves bring that opposite hand to the second opposite side knee, or I'm bringing it really to my thigh, other hand up, and then extended arm up behind me. Let the pelvis be parallel to the floor here. So we're not torqued. We're keeping that pelvis nice and parallel to the floor. That way we get this nice twist, which we've already warmed up for with our tassel twist. And then if your left hand is up behind you, this time you can turn the doorknob with that hand to the left, which brings the pinky up toward the sky for that opening of the shoulder, opening of the chest. So nice. Pelvis balanced. As you do this, letting your hand on your thigh support this triangle twist. Couple rounds of breath. Let go of any tension you don't need to hold the pose. Don't make it hard. Good. And then we swoop the hands back to our umpire baseball pose, just to come to center first. Easier on the body to come to center before standing up rather than coming up from the twist directly. Yeah, so come to the center first and spine neutral, spine rises up. Good. Let's rock side to side, a couple breaths, erase the chalkboard. Breathing, inhale through the center, exhale to the side. Inhale, center, exhale, other side. So we do something that's calls on our resources or calls on some strength, and then we do something easy with the body. So that our body stays in a relaxed state and does better for us when it can get little breathers like that. Good. I'm going to bring it down to a squatting position, if it's okay for your knees. Otherwise, a comfortable seat on the floor, and you can do this with us from there. So just breathe. I've got my hands onto the earth in front of me, and just breathe into the belly. So I have my balls of my feet on the floor, knees wide, arms and hands between the knees, and breathe into the belly. Good, and feeling that in the low back, and then we'll take our dog pant breath, inhale and exhale through the nose, the bellows breath or Bastrika. Good, and then breathing nice 80% breath into the belly. And if a yawn comes up or a sigh, just letting that happen. Good, and then another Bastrika breath. Dog pant through the nose. Good, and one more time, just easy belly breath. Your heels may be up off the floor. Do what works, what's sustainable. Good, and let's come down to the floor. Let's just take a couple rotations. Let me take a moment to adjust the camera. So let's let the legs be wide, and I'll just take a few circles. Inhale in the center. And exhaling around and forward. And what's beautiful here, when I first started yoga, I didn't worry too much about my edge or whatever people talk about in sports these days. I was just trying to relax, yeah? So I wasn't even trying to get the optimal stretch in this pose. We talk about flirting with our limits here, and then sometimes they open up for you. But another way to play with that philosophy is just glide around in a circle. Trust that the joints are being oiled, that synovial fluid in the ball and socket joint of the thighs, and just glide in a circle. Let it be simple. And we don't always need to get somewhere with it, just be with it. Good, and then we'll choose one of our breath cycles to change direction when you're ready. Yeah, inhaling still as we're center, exhale around and forward. Yeah, very nice. Nice and juicy. Make it delicious. Good. And then when you feel ready, you can come up and stay up. And let's take ourselves into a position. Let's let ourselves relax down onto the floor, onto our belly. And here I'm just going to let myself rest my cheek on my stacked palms. And maybe rock the hips side to side. So you can rest your cheek. I'm going to rest my chin because I'm talking. I want you to be able to hear. Rocking the hips side to side. Loosening and warming the low back. I just thought of something. I'm going to invite you to come back up to a seat. I think it would be a really good idea to do our jiggles before we come into our Cobra. So let's come back to that V shape with our legs. If you want to lay on the floor for the next half hour, feel free. But if you would like to warm up the back, I think this would be a nice way to prepare. So let's bring the hands, the legs can be in a comfortable V. It doesn't need to be too wide. And we just sort of scooch back and forth in our own skin with the hands supporting us in front of us. And we breathe out as the hips go back. And we breathe in and out through the nose. Good, and we come back to center. So in the Cobra, which we'll get to on the floor, we're warming and loosening the low back, pelvis area before we get there. It's a nice way to do your yoga. Think about what would help warm up that area of the body before we go into a new pose. Let's take it. This time I'm going to initiate the movement, the movement is similar, but the initiation, instead of from the pelvis, will come from bending my elbows up and down. And same breath. Exhale through the nose as you go back, and then inhale, it just sort of happens. So we're really revisiting that Bhastrika breath again. Jiggle and Bhastrika. Gorgeous, good, come to center. And we'll take it once again. This time we'll take the first variation where we just slide back and forth in our own skin, initiate from the pelvis. Good, and then taking it the second way, let's take a breath in and out first. Good, and then take it one more time, initiating it by bending the elbows. And let it go. Inhaling and exhaling, just regular breathing. Good, and now let's come back onto our bellies. We'll just take a couple cobras and then roll onto our back, but let's just come down onto the belly, rock the hips side to side. Good. And then you may bend the knees so the feet are up in the air, and then crisscross the ankles, alternate which one's in front, like a kid watching Saturday morning cartoons. It's supposed to be good for our nervous system. Crisscross. Crisscross applesauce, as they say in preschool, to get you sitting in a circle in a comfortable seat. Good, and then let the legs come back down on the floor, nice and long. Hands come to the sides of the chest. Good, and I'm gonna just talk it through so you can hear me. I'm gonna tuck the chins down toward the floor, toward my collarbones, and then I lift by imagining rolling a marble with my nose along the floor, and then I lift the chest with the support of the hands, but only with the strength of my back do I lift. So hands are supporting and not pushing. They're just there to support. Got it? So let's come down, hands to the floor, tuck the chin. Roll your marble out in front of you on the floor with your nose, and then using just the strength of your back, arch the upper back up slightly. And you're gazing down in front of you on the floor without cocking the neck back. So the spine, the neck is a continuation of the spine here, nice and long neck. So looking out in front of you rather than up. Good, and then you come down and relax. You can rest your head on your hands again and rock the hips side to side. Very nice. Let's take it once again and just let the chin come toward the collarbones, palms to the floor by the chest, under the shoulders. Roll your marble out. You could almost imagine pulling yourself forward by dragging your feet or your hands back, but keeping them where they are, if that makes sense. And you gaze out in front of you onto the floor. So your gaze is on the floor, out some modest distance, lifting only with the strength of your back. Good. And then you let yourself relax back to the floor, hips side to side. That's our Cobra, our mini Cobra. And then this time, if you wish, you could just stay right where you are on the floor and rest. Another option is to slide the elbows under the shoulders. And here, you lift the chest. You can flex the glutes, your buttocks, in order to feel a release in the low back, if that helps the low back for you. I do that sometimes. And then it's as if you're sort of dragging yourself forward in this position without moving, so that you can gaze maybe 18 inches out in front of you. And this is the Sphinx. Good. Here's another place where my teacher would tell a story while we're wobbling in our little poses. It's beautiful. It's a nice way to let the mind, you could sing a song to yourself here to take your mind off of staying here for a minute. And since we're in class, we'll let it go. But at home, you can play with doing that a couple times and repeat it. But we're just going to get the taste test today. Good. And let's take ourselves, roll onto the back like a sack of rice. Nice and slow. Good. And just breathe into the belly. Easing any tension out of the low back. Knees are bent, feet on the floor here. Breathe into the chest to ease any tension out of the upper back. Good. And let's take our windshield wipers. So knees go side to side, starting small. Rocking side to side. So we just did a back bend, and after a back bend, it may be tempting to bring your knees to your chest, but before you do that, it's healthier for the back to do a little twist like we're doing right now in between the back bend and forward bend, which is what knees to chest would be. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, let it go. We'll just do our twist side to side here. Good. Gives the body a chance to integrate. And then we draw those knees to the chest. Everything gradual, everything organic. Good. Drawing knees to chest, one hand on each knee. So we had time for our Cobra today. Next time we can do our bridge. Sometimes I like to give ourselves plenty of time for each. Good. So let's let our knees come to the chest. Good. And then maybe we do a shaken Bastrika here. So the knees go forward and back. And the exhale is when the feet come away from you, and the inhale just happens in that Bastrika breath. Good. And then I'm just going to let one foot come to the floor with the knee bent, clasp my hands around the other knee or under the thigh. Yeah, either way. Sometimes it's nice under the thigh. Let's try that. So I'm just going to draw that knee to my chest. Good. And if you like hands clasped over the knee, you can play with which one you like better. Good. Draw it in again. Good. And once again, drawing it in. On the inhale, then release, let it go. Good. And then let that bent knee release out to the side, so out toward the shoulder, and draw the knee in again. Inhale. And release the stretch, but not the leg, and inhale it again. Draw it in. Good. And then bring that knee with the hands clasped around it somewhere in the middle of those two places we just visited with the knee. So maybe more toward the armpit this time, in the center of that, between the shoulder and the center of our body. And draw the knee again in toward the armpit. Inhale. And release. And once more, inhale. And release. Bring the knee to the center. You can draw it into your chest one more time. Good. And then let that foot gently find the floor. Good. And then other side. Draw the second side knee to the chest. Clasp the hands around the knee or wherever you can reach. Drawing it in. Inhale. And exhale. Release the stretch. Inhale. Draw it in. And sigh it out. Good. And then let that knee fall. Just release out to the side. And then draw it toward the shoulder. Inhale. And exhale, release. One more, draw it in. And release. Good. And then we'll bring it somewhere in the middle and then draw it in toward the armpit. And exhale, release. Once more, draw it in. And good, release, draw it back to the center. You could draw it in one more time on your inhale. The inhale helps fill out this stretch, or the opening rather, in the low back. Good. Beautiful. So here you can let yourself come into a shavasana. Just stay right where you are. If you like it, on the floor. And it could be knees bent, feet on the floor, legs extended. Arms can be out at your sides with palms up, for a feeling of openness. And another option is to let the left hand rest on the chest and the right hand down on the belly or below the navel. Just the sensation of the hands on the midline is very grounding and centering. So feeling free to play with that. If you like, we can take a couple images or a meditation laying down right there, or you can rock to your side, take a couple breaths there, doing nothing but breathing. And then pressing up into a seat with the strength of your arms coming on up. And letting yourself take a moment to get used to sitting upright again. Good. And here again, as you're seated, you could let one hand come to your chest and the other down below your navel. You could even do it sitting. You may like to sit on a bolster or blanket so that your spine can be long. If your back is rounded and you're not on your sits bones, your sitting bones, let yourself sit on a cushion. It's relaxing for the spine to be long. So that way you can let the legs come down off the cushion and the buttocks are seated on a little bit of height. Good. And just breathing into that center line, notice how your body feels. Feel the sensation of the warmth of the hands. This stimulates the vagus nerve, which is a nerve that goes all around through the body, and it's part of our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest function of the body. So it relaxes the body, it soothes your system. So just breathing and leaning into the warmth of your hands. Feeling yourself on the planet. And we can revisit our mantra, which is hum sa. It's like H-U-M and then, or H-U-N-G, a sound in that neighborhood. Hum or hung. Sa, S-A in Sanskrit. Hum sa, or hum sa, meaning I am that. So practicing that for a couple rounds of breath. You can keep hands where they are or let them relax to your thighs. I like them on my body, but one can feel more amenable. Let yourself go there. Hum sa. Few rounds of breath. Releasing your jaws. Let the corners of the eyes be wide and slightly upward like that. Buddha smile in the eyes. Notice what it does to the corners of your mouth. Good, and then gently opening the eyes. And on your next inhale, let them draw the hands away from yourself. Let the palms face up. Exhaling, palms come together in front of the heart. And may we live like the lotus at home in the muddy waters. Thank you. That's class. Thank you for coming. Good to see you. Hope you enjoyed your yoga vacation. And we'll be meeting on the city of Walnut Creek at 9 to 10 a.m. next Friday on the 17th. So drink water, take care of yourself. If you want to unmute and say anything, feel free. And otherwise, we'll see you same time, same channel.